to Year Endless. I am your host, William Ginsburg, joined by my co host, Courtney Chappell. On Year Endless, we delve into musical and personal history by diving into best of lists from print and online publications through the years.
So today on Year Endless, we continue our look at Rolling Stone's 100 Greatest Albums of the 80s from 1989 with number 70, The Traveling Wilburys with Traveling Wilburys Volume 1. So the Wilburys is, for anyone who doesn't know, is a supergroup of George Harrison of the Beatles, Bob Dylan of Bob Dylan fame, Tom Petty of the Heartbreakers and of Tom Petty, Roy Orbison, like 50s. Yeah. Roy Orbison. Is there a band that like has anything off his name? Because I feel like they're.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway,
I just know him as.
I mean, there's so many ones that have. And then Jeff Lynne of Electric Light Orchestra.
Okay.
ELO. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is as a happy accident of these stars, like at different points of their career, coming together, like and starting with one thing, then end up having, keep working and having it end up with a full album.
Yeah. Can I just say that when I was, so I've been listening to the songs for this or the albums for this week, and I was like, I think this is Tom Petty's, maybe his first band or something. I just did not know. And I just threw it on. And of course, I like the Tom Petty one the best of the songs. And I'm like, this is great. And then I hear the second song. I'm like, gosh, he's so versatile. Like I just didn't realize how much he emulated, Bob Dylan. And then I'm still listening. I'm like, gosh, I guess Roy Orbison did a guest spot. And then I keep going. I'm like, wait a second. And so then I stopped. I did not realize it was a super group. Because I love Tom Petty, but I just didn't, probably because it didn't have the same name. And so I didn't know if this was like a side project, but now, and it is a side project, but it's a super group. So, yeah. And so, yeah, it was like, I learned something.
Yeah. Part of this, they came up with like a kind of silly concept that they're the Traveling Wilburys, that they each have like a name. They're all like half brothers.
Right.
Yeah, because looking up at the they were big Monty Python fans, so I think that played into their.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't know if you knew this, but George Harrison helped fund Holy Grail.
No, but that made so much sense. I mean, they always seem so connected. I always feel like the Beatles, I've heard, inspired Monty Python, but of course they're really connected. That makes so much sense. I mean, I should have known that, I feel like. Huh.
Yeah, and apparently the name too came out of I think it was like something like there was like something was recorded slightly off, and that it'll be like we'll bury it in the mix.
Oh, okay.
Something like that, yeah. Because this is recently the end of the 80s. This was during a comeback for Roy Orbison shortly before he passed away.
Right.
And then like George Harrison had like a hit in the 80s.
That Set on You song.
His cover of that. But like the 80s were not a great time for Bob Dylan, at least like creatively. I mean, I think Jeff Lynne was more like doing more production at that time than anything else. But then like Tom Petty was, like a huge star.
Right.
They're catchy songs, which I mean, there's a collection of people who can make really catchy songs. So, but like that, even so, that's always happened. They can have like the great collection of like artists, and it might not work. In this case, it did. So,
and we can't perhaps diminish in any way Bob Dylan's contribution to the world and lyricism and songwriting, but as I said, Tom Petty's my favorite one, and he sings. I mean, I'm sure it was a collaborative song, but he sings on my favorite track, which is Handle with Care. But I know that it meant a lot to Tom Petty to be working with Roy Orbison because in the connection to Elvis, who was Tom Petty's hero and many, many musicians' hero. But I just feel like if anyone appreciated this collaboration, it was Tom Petty.
Number 69 is a big departure from the previous entry, and that is LL Cool J with Radio, which this is our first hip hop album on this list so far, right?
Yes, it's the first hip hop album because it was a time in our history where I just still feel like, because when did this list come out?
89.
89, so it's still, there's just not as much appreciation, I think, as there is now, especially in the more traditional Rolling Stone. But this is also the first album of LL Cool J.
I believe so, yes. I was listening to this again for a second time last night. While preparing.
Yes, because I was not familiar with this album. And I wonder if he's going to have another album higher up on the...
I kind of doubt it, but...
I kind of doubt it too. I just wanted to be...
what year is this from? Okay. I mean, because I don't know which ones of like the... I mean, because there's so many classic 80s hip-hop albums. Particularly toward the end of the decade.
And I didn't realize he was 17 before I read the...
Yeah, I mean, it's his debut from 1985.
Yes, and it's very pared down. I had never listened to it. And also, we should mention that it was produced by Rick Rubin. It says "reduce"
yes.
R on the liner notes, or yeah, and it's very minimal.
Yeah,
it's about the lyrics, the rap, and "Rock the Bells" is probably the most well-known or kind of iconic tracks. But I didn't know any of it very well.
Yeah. I mean, I knew he went way back, but yeah, 85, I mean, that is way back. I mean, like a contemporary with like Run DMC, both being like the first to really to sell millions of albums.
But I was watching the MTV Music Awards, I think from last year, and him and Chuck D are performing, and it is he's such a solid performer. He's I don't know how old he is now, but he was born in 68. Anyway,
yeah,
he's up there and he's just amazing. Didn't he come out with an album like last year?
I'm not sure.
Yes, he did. The Force. It was called The Force.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, speaking back on Rock the Bells, there's the like classic hip hop station on Sirius XM is LL Cool J Rock the Bells, and so like that's like they have a couple other hip hop stations, but that's like the only one I listen to on there because like it just has like the highest like quality and the most fits my taste the best, I guess, as far as like really classic music. For that.
Did you listen to this album a lot?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Until the last couple days. I'm sure I must have heard some of the songs on that station at some point, like probably Rock the Bells and maybe one of the other ones. But yeah, I mean, Rick Rubin, great. That is the production.
Yes.
I mean, it's not that like musical knowledge really, which may or may not be true, but yeah, just like helps bring out something because like it's. I mean, this is technologically there was there's so many limitations of what they could actually do. So like how short a sample had to be.
Yep.
But yeah, like bringing like some of that like rock edge into it because like just saying in the entry of how different how new this was compared to some of it was before. You said you listened to the album, right?
Yeah.
Because there's the song in there, I Can Give You More, which is like really minor key, like really unnerving beat. Yeah, because I mean, I think I can do LL Cool J more for some of the stuff like later on, or for like the more of like the lover man kind of like.
Yeah.
Because there's romance stuff too, some of it, but
No, that's
There's
that
also like
stood out to me. I was like,
yeah,
this is like a crooner kind of, yeah, it's just a love song. And
yeah,
it's, yeah, I just love how stripped down this album is.
yeah,
Think about sort of the more synthesizer based kind of, I mean, there's always the beat, but when you think about early New York hip hop, just, early 80s, there's a little more disco in it or something. And this is just
yeah,
very
yeah.
industrial.
There's no disco in this.
And it's a Korg. Yeah, his mom gave him a Korg drum machine early on. I don't know. Do you know anything about his life?
I don't think I know any like.
Do you know about like what happened with his dad and
I
stuff?
don't think so. No.
His dad shot his mother and grandfather, nearly killing them, but didn't. But he, and it's James Todd Smith was the name he was born with, but he found them at age 4, just like
Oh
covered in
my
blood.
god.
I know. I didn't realize that. Like he's been through a lot, and he was abused by his mom's boyfriend growing up. He just
Wow.
really, I know. That's just something that I didn't know until I started reading about
Yeah.
him. Share some of his
Um,
early trauma because
y-
I don't know. There's just something very, just I don't know. And he performs and so well, and is just so seemingly healthy. I know that's a strange thing to say, but he's like he works out and he's always full of energy. I just didn't realize just where he came from and what he went
yeah.
through.
So on the lighter side, I'd forgotten that his name stood for Ladies Love Cool James.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ladies love cool
Yeah.
James because his first
Yeah.
name's James. Okay.
Yeah. Despite all his like success in acting, he's supporting like the music and the sound and like the other artists from his generation of rappers. I've told this before. I think during the De La Soul entry that I had tickets to see this like golden age hip hop tour with De La Soul, Public Enemy, Ice Cube, and LL Cool J.
I had the
And
same.
then like I wasn't able to go for
Oh.
well, like so my brother went with one of his like high school friends.
Mm.
This was in like St. Augustine, Florida, and like the amphitheater there.
Oh.
I'm sure it was really cool, but yeah, I'm I'm disappointed because it would have been such a like fun experience.
Yes.
Because like I got into, I mean, those are some of like the hip hop I got into that I thought was that like connected with me.
And that was tour. That was a tour they were doing at the time, or
Yeah, there was a tour. So I mean, they didn't all play like some of those were like more limited sets for them to have so they could. So it wasn't like they each got like a full hour set or something, but like still it would have been.
yeah.
So I don't know if my brother entirely appreciated it.
I know,
Anyway,
but I do. That's
yeah,
That's like
yeah, well, yeah.
one
It
out
seemed
of
like a
that
really
show.
whole thing to. Yeah, so even with all about the Hollywood success, he still really cares about hip hop and about
Yeah, I
all
always
that.
forget about his Hollywood thing, or just the
Yeah,
fact his acting is awesome
yeah,
too. That's what I mean. He just I don't know. I just feel like with those sort of like you can tell. Let's take a rapper like Eminem. Had a sort
yeah.
of traumatic upbringing, but that's the focus of his life work, kind of. And then I don't
Mm.
know. I just feel like there's such an overcoming of all that with LL Cool J. Also, side note, what's the deal with WrestleMania? Is there a Wrestle connection? Did he
To
like?
LL Cool J,
Yeah. Did he appear at
I don't think
WrestleMania? Okay, never mind. I might just be.
I I'm not. I don't remember him being involved. Yeah, because I'm not like back in the day. I don't think, at least. I think Run DMC might have done something, maybe, but nothing's coming to mind.
Also, okay, I just figured if anybody knew you would, but also he had he's been married a long time, even longer than me. So I just want to say that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay. He met his wife
Uh,
at 95.
okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so number 68 is a great album that should not qualify for this list because it is from the 70s, but it is specials with their 1979 album, their self-titled debut.
Yeah.
I guess it was released in America in the 80s, but 1980s. But
okay, I bow deeply to the specials. What an amazing band!
Yes.
What amazing people! How cool are they? They, they were not really on my radar until like I don't know. Shane kind of rediscovered them. I mean, they've always been there, but
Yeah.
I really got into them and then learned just kind of like I don't know, just how amazing they were as people and the energy and just how tight they were musically. And even though they're from the 70s, this is the album I would make the exception for.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's slightly that's not the only album today, even today, that is from the 70s. But no, I mean, yeah. I mean, I get it. They're an American publication. They don't, and like it's and particularly back then where it was like it had to be released here. It couldn't just be like electronic or something. And like, but like it had to literally like they had to like the record company, like an American record company, had to get the records and release them. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the major bands of second wave ska and of like combining ska, like the 60s Jamaican music, like horns and whatnot, and adding it and like fusing it with punk and creating something that stood the test of time.
Yep.
I mean, I think I got into like ska punk, which is eventually what it became, or third wave.
Yeah, that's
ska. Because like in the like the night, because in the 90s it was one of the biggest like types of punk for sure.
Yes.
And then I mean it had like a breakout band that didn't stop sounding ska. Like No Doubt was so barely ska. My God.
People really like them nowadays. They're having a resurgence, but I agree.
I mean, they have some fine songs, but yeah, whatever. Yeah, I mean, good for them. But yeah, finding out about this band and like after I got into ska punk kids of Less Than Jake. Speaking of another Florida band from Gainesville.
Okay.
Yeah, starting in the 90s. Finding out, like listening to this, and this is a multiracial band
from Coventry, England.
Yes, and I mean, so many great songs on this album. Some originals, some covers that they like. Because I have listened to some of the ones that are covers, like, oh yeah, this is so. The originals are so good, and then they bring in a whole different like spin onto it. But yeah, I have a really stupid story involving this album that I'm like I'm only halfway sure I'll like tell. I'll tell it, but then I don't know if I'll probably edit it out.
You can always edit it out.
That's my kind of my plan. So this is in like 2013, like February. I was home in Florida, and I was going to pick up my brother from one of his high school friends' condo. They were like watching our high school was good at women's basketball, but like that was the only sport they're good at, and they were like in the state championships for like in the finals for their like level. And so I was driving, and this was during Bike Week, which is like so huge in Daytona. There's like so much there's so much more traffic, so many more bikers around. And I was on because I actually redrove it the other day just to like try to like get all the memories back. And so the part is like 2 lanes, like 25 miles an hour. And so behind me, I heard a fire truck. So I drove into like a park, because this street, Beach Street, that part of it is parallel with the Halifax River. And so I pulled and then pulled back. It's like around so I could get back on the road. And where this like condo was, it turns to like 4 lanes, and like And so they were there. So the fire truck was going over because there was like an accident near this like biker bar, and it was just like late. It was like dark, super dark out, and I was trying to figure out like and turn into where the condo was, and I was also trying not to drive into like oncoming traffic, and instead I almost sideswiped the fire truck.
Nice.
So the police came because the police are already there too. So the police came over and like I don't know if it was like reckless driving or what they take it like I don't think it was quite reckless driving. It was like below that, and like the
Accident
police
driving.
some of the firefighters came over and kind of like like I don't remember what they said, but it was very stern and very like I was like, oh god. So one of the things was that I thought so the speed limit was like quite low, so I wasn't sure what to do because I have I've taken driving tests and everything.
Yeah.
I knew that you're supposed to like slow down like 25 miles an hour or something, or like pull over to the side of the road, but I didn't. But like it's already super slow. What am I supposed to do? So I felt like I might have had an argument, but I was like, I can't argue against firefighters. So
Okay.
yeah. I mean, well, I mean, no one. I mean, because like you can go into court and like argue with the lawyer and argue with like a traffic cop, but you can't argue with a firefighter. Because I feel like they might. Yeah. So that happened. And yeah, I had to take like whatever online and otherwise like sort of like a
remedial driving.
yeah, and like don't and then like pay whatever the fine was too and all that stuff. So it was yeah, it was very stupid, but now I mean normally if so normally I tell that when I tell that I just start like at the end part of I almost sideswiped the fire truck. To bring this back around, this album, the Specials album, was on my stereo when this whole story went down. Yeah, so I was looking more into the history of it because I love this album. I was looking more into like the history of the band, and also, I mean, their original lineup didn't have that many albums before it kind of splintered. Like I think it was only like 2 albums, and then like a couple of like the singer, like the two, because there's 2 singers. One of them, do you have their? Because there's Terry Hall.
I was looking at some pictures of them, and it's like half the band all of a sudden because it was like a 7-piece. I think when this album was made, it was really big band. Let's see their little Wikipedia who's in the band chart. There's a lot of great.
Yeah.
I don't actually. It's kind of hard to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it's Terry Hall, the who passed away a couple years ago, who is the white singer, for lack of a better, and Lenville Golding is the black singer and toaster.
I'm not seeing the little chart thing in there.
Oh, they don't have a.
No, they don't have. Okay, so the band split. Rebirth is a special, AKA. This seemed to have. I don't see a date. There's.
Yeah, so I think like they also might be. I think they changed their names to the Specials.
Oh.
Originally another name. So I think originally it was like the Specials, AKA.
It was the original name.
And then like they became Special AKA again. But yeah, one of the things I did not know is that Jerry Dammers, who was the keyboardist for the band, was also the main songwriter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so in the first and second versions of the band, he was like the main creative force, but was not involved with any of the other once they reunited back in like the 90s and like reunited again like in 2000s on, like he was not involved in any of those. I didn't find out though that he was. I really mainly knew the first album, so I didn't really know their later 80s stuff. But that they had a song This ties back to episode 1 of this miniseries with the anti-apartheid album. Is that they wrote a song, Nelson Mandela, calling to free Nelson Mandela, and like it was a major hit. That case was actually like a major hit. It was like a top 10 hit in Britain, and was like a hit in other countries as well. And there's an article, talking about how it was like a significant factor in like increasing knowledge, increasing opposition to apartheid. And he was actually honored in South Africa.
Okay.
He was given a award, which was the Order of the Companions of OR Tambo. So it's like that's really cool.
So what's your favorite song?
I mean, Message You Rudy, like the opening track is like such a perfect opener. But I do like Stupid Marriage a lot, and I do like Too Much Too Young a lot. I think I have one of those too. I think Too Much Too Young on one of like my like biggest like play like mix CD, like a mix I made for myself, which is called Love Is a Minimal Topic. Speaking of Public Enemy, which is like 26 songs long. I put it on like 2 different discs.
No Public Enemies on this list.
I believe they are, and I'd be very mad if they're not. Like, I think I would be the most mad of any ones if they're not on here. I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah. So
we're gonna put a pin in that.
Yeah, we're gonna put a pin in that. So in this week of like research and whatnot, just learning more about of how big of a role reggae is playing in like post-punk was really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, two-tone or second wave ska, like really, important.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, also fashion-wise, was also like a innovation as well.
I was going to mention that. Yes, that their style is just so incredible. That very pared down, sharp suits. The two-tone, isn't that a label?
Yeah.
It's got like an emblem of a guy, sunglasses. It's like kind of like a Blues Brothers. That's how we think about it in America. But like just sunglasses, hat, suit. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, Jerry Dammers founded Two Tone.
Okay, yeah,
so it's directly connected to the specials.
Yeah,
not just musically. But yeah, number 67 on this list is not one that I had listened to before preparing for this episode.
Yeah,
that is. I mean, it's ours I've heard of course, over the years, and heard some of the songs, but that is Randy Newman with his album Trouble in Paradise from 1983. The biggest song off of this album is I Love LA, the opening track. And I'm sure it's used in like a billion movies of the like the movie business as well as the music business ran in Randy Newman's family.
Right.
He had uncles who were conductors in Hollywood movies. His uncle was like one of like the first and like one of like the most talented in like the 30s 40s like era of Hollywood. So I mean, he's a descendant of like Russian Jews who escaped like Tsarist Russia when like the pogroms were really like heating up again. And so I mean, he grew up in LA, although he spent a couple of his like early years in New Orleans, which probably like influenced his music. He became like a songwriter for a publishing company. And like, so I really most know these like this first little bit because I was reading the life and music of Randy Newman, and I only got so far in this because I so so he has ties back with Hollywood, but also ties back for when he started writing for like, the early 60s pop of like the pre-Beatles pop music. all like the really talented session musicians and like the really talented songwriters writing the songs, and then the songs being covers and like different versions of the same song, and yeah, a lot of really cool music came out of it, and a lot of like the worst music came out of it. So for people of a younger generation, including people of mine, his songs for Disney Pixar movies are really well known. And so it's funny going back and see compared to that, which is very sincere, to the very like cynical music like that of his own. As a songwriter, like, the lyrics are very, like, the turns of phrase and like the structure of it is really well done. And I mean, so a lot of like there's like satirical songs, which has some of the issues of like, 70s or 80s or like before, like, using a like racial slur in character as someone who's like racist.
Right.
Which, I mean, it's a problem in punk as well, you know, of like that, like it sucks. I get it. I get the argument. I get why they try to do it, but it sucks. This album had like all the different cameos and different like appearances. But like I didn't even hear some of these people on there because it's more because there's a song here with Paul Simon. I re-listened to a couple different. I think the first time I listened to this album, I fell asleep during it, which is not like a. I don't take that as like a direct criticism of music because it was late, and also I mean I fell asleep during the fall a couple like during the last miniseries. You know, I love the fall, so like
Right. Well, that's a little hard to believe, but this is very, comforting kind of.
Yeah.
Very basic or simple melodies. It's more about I didn't know who this person was, but then I looked over his discography right before we started hitting record, and I was like, oh, I know all these songs. But I love LA. My impression of Shane used to sing it all the time, and he can't sing. He's learned to, but he doesn't carry a tune. But so then I was really shocked when I actually heard it and that it sounded very different than I thought. I knew of his music. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Randy Newman is not traditionally great voice.
Right. Yes. That's why he's
yeah,
in it.
yeah. So like his like it definitely gives it a different like thing to it. And I mean, like he gets the emotion across, he gets the story across that he's trying to get across, and like it doesn't hamper the music really.
Right.
I mean, because I think I love LA, and different hands could like just like. I mean, I'm sure it's been covered. I haven't heard all the different covers, but I'm sure some of them are very, very bad because I think it needs a voice that's like gets across. Yeah, it's like both positive and negative. Yeah, Christmas in Cape Town, which is one that like yeah, that's one of the ones where this is the use of like it gets across things with apartheid, but then it also like the way the like the use of like racial slurs, it brings it down.
Yeah. Not age well.
Yeah, I mean I don't like using that phrase, but yeah, it doesn't. That's not like age well.
Yeah, that's not a good phrase to use.
Yeah,
it never was.
Everything. Yeah, but I hope I have time to continue reading this biography of the coverage of his work.
Yeah.
But yeah, number 66 on this list is one of the ones that I've never heard of until preparing for this episode. That is the Neville Brothers with their album Fio on the Bayou.
Yes.
Which
it's an interesting one to me. They're an interesting phenomenon because they sound very. I mean, it's R&B. I guess that's where you'd put it, right? In the but you would. I mean,
somewhere between R&B and like country, like somewhere at the
traditional blues is when I was listening.
Yeah,
but they are from New Orleans. We should mention right out of the gate. The album cover I feel like is amazing. It's an
I was about to say it's a alligator on fire.
Yeah.
Or like and then like the background, like the color, it looks like it's like at sunset.
Yes, or like these sort of
Yeah,
bright orange clouds or smoke or something. It's like
yeah,
beautiful. The painting.
yeah.
In fact, I wonder if there's more information about the album cover. But anyway,
Yeah.
and then the band itself, it is some brothers who, oh, wow. Can I say, so the Mardi Gras Indians, or does anyone listening should familiarize themselves and look this up, but it's like an African American carnival, and these are the revelers of the carnival, and they create these elaborate suits with ostrich feathers and beadwork. Anyway, the Neville's uncle was known as Big Chief Jolly. This is something. Do you know about the Mardi Gras Indians?
No, I do not.
You got to Google it right now. I'm just going to tell you that. Just Google Mardi Gras Indian. And and I've been to New Orleans to see their parade. I just want to mention that they are a part of that culture and legacy. That's amazing. But in terms of this music, and okay, we should also mention that Whitney Houston sang backup in their band. They are they're like music royalty here. But I had never really listened to them because it seemed like old people music to me. You know what I mean? I'm listening like, anyway, or something. But I loved listening to it. I didn't listen to the entire album, but I have an appreciation now that I'm also old.
According to the Blur, apparently Keith Richards thought that the Neville Brothers album was the best album of 1981.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense. He was
getting old. My favorite song was Sitting in Limbo. I thought that one was really cool. Very just like beautiful singing on that song.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, apparently at the time it was hard to sell as an album. Like it didn't fit on. It wasn't a clear like programming fit on the radio. And this is like pre MTV, so like it was hard to sell something that didn't fit into some like a format. Yeah, I'm really glad I listened to this, and I definitely recommend it to our listeners to check out.
Yeah.
Number 65 is an album that after we went off the air last week, we were going over what we were covering next week. I could tell that Corny did not like this, or she gave a very negative response, and that is 10,000 Maniacs with In My Tribe.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an unfortunate album name.
Yeah, from 1987.
87. Now, this was a big deal. So my cousins, they were obsessed with 10,000 Maniacs. And there's a big connection between Athens, Georgia, because famously, Michael Stipe and Natalie Merchant were in a close, I think, romantic relationship. She had a huge influence on politicizing Michael Stipe, according to the Wikipedia page. I didn't realize. 10,000 Maniacs are from upstate New York. It was very hard to place in a way because it's just very beautiful. I want to almost say unremarkable music to me, but there was nothing quite like it.
Yeah.
Like sort of just a melodic indie rock band and kind of a prototype to me for bands to come that just played good songs. You know what I mean? How do I say that?
Yeah, have the jangly guitar sound that REM brought. That was one of the bands that brought back to the forefront of like college or indie rock. And yeah, and this is Natalie Merchant's I mean, most known for as her band before she went solo. And I mean, Michael Stipe appears on a song on this album.
Okay.
And I was like, is that Michael Stipe? Maybe it's not Michael Stipe. Oh wait, that is it is Michael Stipe. It is quality. The name of the band is like pretty silly. The name of the album is not the best choice. The cover is cool though.
Miracle band name.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's going to be a bunch of maniacs and wild partiers, but it's very mindful, very demure kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely on the like ironic band name of like along like something like Destroyer, where it's like, you know, does not sound like a
Doesn't sound like what it is.
But yeah, so it started out of bands called Still Life, which covered Joy Division and Gang of Four. Which is
wow.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how well they covered them, but yeah, they were college radio DJs, and then yeah, so according to the Rolling Stones, Merchant joined after wandering into the radio station, armed with a pile of LPs she wanted heard on the air. The other members being guitarist Rob Buck and John Lombardo. Yeah, and then added drummer. Since I'm making it also, I'll name the drummer too, Jerome Augustinak. Yeah, it seems like their time on a major was not going great.
Their time on a major label?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it was, yeah.
Her own, or she broke out and did a solo career right after that? Is that right?
Yeah, I think, and then they continued without her, but like, I mean, she was like the clear, or seen as like the clear star of it. Okay, so the last one with Natalie was their album Our Time in Eden in 1992.
Okay. Right. This is the album I remember seeing in my cousin's room. This is the album I associate with them. This is the one. This is this is the band that brought vegetarianism into the collective consciousness of our society, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
Natalie Merchant was a vegetarian. And then I think Michael Stipe became one, or some other famous people did.
Mm-hmm.
PETA and everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, vegetarian's been around, but yeah, I don't know how much in music it was.
Yeah. Then that just kind of encapsulate this time.
Yeah, a little bit of like, because I think of like 60s or 70s like vegetarianism, and then
yes, and
like
she was like, I'm not a hippie. You know, she's like, I don't really identify with the hippie movement, but like, don't eat meat. And so it kind of made it kind of hip and took it out of sort of.
Yeah. I mean, like, because I guess there's like this man from Meat is Murder, but that's not it's a lot more. Yeah, that's a more aggressive and maybe not as good do as well as like converting people to vegetarian or veganism, but
yes.
Yeah, so number 64 is a wild change from there. That is
living in a way.
Yeah. That is the band Living Color with their album Vivid.
Yes. Now, can I just stand up and say that Cult of Personality is like, that was the most badass song I'd ever heard. When you think about that riff, it's very complicated and angular and yet super catchy. It was, and with the pauses and there's just this like a real tightness. I felt when I was watching MTV and that song came on that we were ushering in a new era of music and color and a new aesthetic completely. And then it was quickly followed by maybe Faith No More came first. I don't know. But for me watching MTV, it was like Living Color. And then, also came along like Faith No More, which is also kind of psychedelic California glowing day glow colors. But this song, this album, the video, just it seemed like a pivot. It was 1988. We were in the midst of what I've described as a really dark time in music for me. And it was also followed by like Delight and just this more 60s revival and color, and I I loved it. I thought the rest of the album, when I bought the album, was not as good as Cult of Personality. Shane and I talk about that sometimes. There was nothing like that was the best song on the album, but it was great. I listened to it and it's a great band, great album.
Yeah, so I mean, up until now, I'd only listened to Cult of Personality, and yeah, I think I agree that the rest isn't as good as Cult of Personality. But I mean, there aren't that many songs. Yeah, I mean, it's quality, and it goes into a lot of different kinds of rock bits. Yeah, there's bits of different genres touched on, and I mean, some of the songs are a little too hair metal for my taste, but yeah, Cult of Personality, like most bands don't have a song as good as that one. And
no, one of the greatest songs.
I mean, it was really rare for like a black rock band to become major. I mean, because like,
Yeah,
I mean, Bad Brains, but like before that, I mean, they were great, and they had a lot of they very influential and a lot of fans, but they weren't selling millions of albums.
Right.
I mean, and then that just previous it might have been Sly Stone as being like a previous back in the early 70s. So I mean because at a certain point genres were divided, and so if there was a black band, they weren't a rock band, they were an R&B band or something, when like some of these things were actually very like way more similar than it's a case where genre is like can be really dumb. I think putting Living Color on with like Faith No More, and I guess you could also put like Jane's Addiction in there too, as far as like
absolutely
another like kind of I guess like alternative metal.
Yes.
And like
California.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, actually I was about to say whether of one of the possible paths of like what's the next thing, what's gonna follow.
Yeah, the West Coast.
Yeah, because it ended up being grunge ended up being the
thing that's kind of led into hair metal kind of persisted following 4 bands that you just named. Of those 4, Faith No More, Living Color, Jane's Addiction, and we'll just throw the Chili Peppers in there. Who's your favorite?
So Jane's Addiction, I really mostly like Jane Says, honestly.
Okay, because see, I love Jane's Addiction.
Yeah, I don't think they're on this list. They should be probably. Red Hot Chili Peppers were like so much on the radio, and people introduced me to them. So I've heard like Red Hot Chili Peppers more than those other ones.
Yeah.
And like I've not heard enough Faith No More. I mean, what I've heard, some of them I liked. So I've definitely, and there's still some Red Hot Chili Peppers songs I still like, but I can also get really annoyed with them sometimes. Although, I mean, they have the great influences. I mean, and they have some really dumb songs. They have some, some really fun songs. Chili Peppers.
Chili Peppers, yeah.
Yeah, they have some dumb stuff. Yeah. But they have a cover band. There's a band a cover band for them that all like really it confuses my brain because they're called the Red Not Chili Peppers.
Oh.
Which is like way too close in my opinion as far as name, because I saw the name and it's exactly like written out. It looks so much that like the Chili Peppers or something.
That's a very.
I was like, wait, what? They're playing like the Chili Peppers are playing it. No, it's the cover band. They're playing at the Orange Band. Like what?
Right.
So, yeah, I think. Did Jane's Addiction come Stop?
Did Jane's Addiction do Stop? Yes, they did.
Okay, yeah, that wasn't like one of my favorite video games.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they use that song. Yeah.
No, everywhere. All their songs. I'm surprised at when you mentioned them. Like, they're like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I don't know when we'll get to them, but maybe we will.
Our next band on this list is another album that's not. This is album number 3 that is not from the 80s. Although it sounds like the future of certain types of like post-punk, particularly
Yeah.
of like the 2000s.
It's not from the 80s? No.
It's from 1979. It was released in 1980 in America. It's another one of those
Oh, right,
cases.
right.
That is Gang of Four with their album Entertainment with an exclamation point. So I mean, I'm going to start with the album cover because it's a great album cover, and it also the cartoon on it really it sort of gets you the idea of what this band is, because this is a band that has very Marxist inspired lyrics,
Right.
like very political, but political, like politics of a lot of it's like politics of like regular life, of interpersonal politics.
Yeah.
Although it does touch on kind of like history and like how history is like interpreted,
Yeah.
and I get like as how current events as like sort of like a TV thing, as like a witness, like some of like like there's like songs about them, songs like taking topics like love and looking at through them like in a very logical way.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, musically, it's very funk inspired, but like it's a very hard funk to dance to.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
Um, yeah, but yeah, it's noisy. You know, like some like the guitar, while like the it's pretty like bass forward, while like the
I like about that's one thing that's
yeah, and vocally it's very
British.
it's like yeah, very British post punk, like sort of it's sung, but
Not hiding the accent.
yeah, not yeah, very unemotionally sung.
Yes.
And then production wise, because like this is it's the part that doesn't come naturally to me, but it's described kind of like a dry. It's not trying to sound warm. It's not trying to sound live. It's kind of production wise is also confrontational.
Right.
And yeah, I love this because I was reading up more on this album on the book you recommended.
Yes. Okay.
That book being
Which I can't
Rip
find.
It Up and Rip It Up and Start Again, A History of Post Punk by Simon Reynolds. In the chapter, along with and that chapter also covers the Macons, which which had an entry on in our previous miniseries that neither of us knew enough about the Macons that didn't know all that much at the time about the Macons. But
I want to
yeah,
mention. Go ahead, please.
learning more about sort of like the history of the band funk, because I mean it's like it's like kind of in some ways like a mutated disco music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's like a punk band that's not like the, because I guess part of what in some ways what post punk is taking some of the of disco and bringing it in like to a new kind of
Hearing it down, hearing it with
paring it down, because like instrumentally it's it's guitar, bass, drums. I mean, I've loved this album for a long time. I only recently actually finally listened to some of their later albums because they've released some of them in like a combination CD, and and when I like ripped it, I only got the bad one.
Oh.
Because I mean they had because a couple of albums afterwards are like fine, and then they have some like really bad albums. Although I don't know the quality of their like reunion like 2000 to 2010 albums are. I just like have heard bad things about like their early 90s one, which also has like a terrible album cover. So lyrics, I mean, as like someone who's like a history student in like college, it's like the lyrics are so cool, like are so interesting, and including one of their songs, I found that Essence Rare like mentions a like historical event that like is not talked about very often, and like, particularly in like political music. So it's one of the only like the two bands that I know have like talked about it, because I really only know about that because of a young adult historical fiction book that I read in like middle school, that me and my like best friend read in middle school, about the atomic testing on Bikini Atoll.
On what? Oh yeah. Bikini.
Yeah, because the worst thing in 1954 is the bikini. Which, I mean, if you don't know about, I feel like, like, wait, what's wrong with the bikini? But like, no, it's about. It's actually, I mean, the bikini is named after. It came afterwards, which is like weird. I don't know how many other pieces of clothing are named after like a horrifying, like,
Right.
removing people from their like native island and then destroying like
Yep.
hydrogen bombs.
Just
Um,
blowing up.
yeah, it's really one of those like fucked up things. But then, so one of the songs I only like looked up the lyrics more recently and found out that it was like talking about a particular of like a British prison that for like Irish
Political prisoners, Long Kesh.
I think on the song Ether. But I mean, the songs that are about what's that one? Just like sort of like self-interrogation. I guess would be a way I could describe some of the lyrics of sort of breaking down love into like the parts are like, sometimes I'm thinking that I love you, but I know it's only lust. I don't think there are any bad songs. I don't think there's anything like, I think every song on this album is close to great, if not like perfect.
Yeah. And their aesthetic during this time. I mean, this was the sort of original lineup. There was a like a lead singer in the very beginning, and two of the original members who were on this album have passed away. Like one in 2020 and one a couple of years ago.
Yeah, this year they did like a final tour with them, which like with like a without one of the members who passed away, who actually previous to that was the one touring as Gang of Four. So it's a little bit. I mean, it's unfortunate there wasn't. If they're going to have a tour, a final tour that they didn't have, they didn't do it kind of sooner. But yeah, they were doing entertainment in full, and then they were doing like a set with like the touching the other songs. I was gonna go, but then I like damaged my hearing by like listening to entertainment too loudly.
Right. Oh, that's.
Oh yeah, but yeah. As far as bad album covers, the album cover for Mall is quite bad.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
90s and like the and what's the like thing?
Hmm.
Graphic design is my passion is like that kind of bad.
Yeah, that's interesting because there's a. It's sort of a primitive kind of draw. Well, the background, most of the album is comprised of a sort of spray paint looking orange, red, and yellow motif, and then you got your pyramid with an eyeball
Yeah.
overlaid. But what really offends me is the shadow effect on the font, shadow of the lettering.
Yeah, compared to like entertainment, which is like the iconic red with the band name in blue, and then because I mean the entertainment of it, I mean the name of the album is ironic.
Yes.
That, but as well as their like fall album Solid Gold. But yeah, I mean, so they're a band that I mean they made the decision to be a political band that signed with a major. They made we like disagree with the bands that are like the Slits who wanted to separate themselves from like the major. That we're not pure, like we're not trying to be pure. We're trying. There's no ethical purity in the world that they met in at a Leeds College, which is say it again. Yeah, they did. Yeah, King of Four. Yeah, no, not the Slits. Because I mean, it was like a very like a mix of like working class, like in the like leftist working class, and then like as well as left at like the college there. So like,
and they're named after a communist Chinese political.
Yeah, it was like the group of four that were like ruling China, like Maoist China.
Yeah.
So that was like the outside name for it. So, I mean, the name is also kind of like satiric. Like it's also kind of like ironic too, of like, we're like a Marxist influence band that also has like a name that was a Western name for like the who were ruling China. But so one thing I didn't.
And they were political, which is that's more my I appreciate that in a band, as we know. And I
Yeah,
didn't think about juxtaposing them with the Slits. I'm gonna have to. Is that from the Simon Reynolds?
yeah, because it was juxtaposing them with the Slits and also with the pop group.
Yes.
Both bands that were on that compilation, the "Want to Build the Bridge" or whatever. Yeah, that book
Oh, I
it's
found
really.
it. Okay, sorry.
I
It was right there.
mean, it's quite good. I mean, it's very it's like academic, kind of in a good way. Like
Love
it's
him. He's so
yeah,
fun, right? He's not
yeah,
insulting intelligence. It's academic, but it's not. But his tastes are not overly. He's not a snob. He likes. I know him most from his work on or from his book about techno or electronic music, and
mhm,
loves what the kind of trashy, hardcore British. I felt very vindicated when I read his book, and I've loved him ever since because he loves good and sometimes kind of shitty lowbrow music, but his writing is just incredible.
yeah. So one thing I found out was that they were song at Homie that Homie's a Tourist was popular enough, was selling well enough that it was going to be on top of the pops. It's only from reading these books about like British post punk and like and British music that I'm like finding understanding pop the pops more. But as like an outsider who it's a little bit more like, okay, so like you sell enough, you can be on this, and then like you like lip sync your song or whatever. They didn't want them to say the line, he's got a rubber in his top left pocket, and so they were willing to send like to have it just be like a packet, but then like the censors were like, no, that's like too obvious. We want to censor it, but we don't want to make it obvious that we're censoring it.
Oh God,
And
yeah.
so they were like, oh, you could say rubbish and it's in your top left pocket, but they were like, the first time it was like, no, we're not gonna and then they were offered a second time like next week, and they still refused, and then that like kind of so like in some ways they regret it because it was a really bad move career wise to not appear on top of the pops, because that could have like helped them sell even more.
Yeah.
Um, and then like it pissed off their label because it's like, what do you mean you turned down being on top of the pops? Are you nuts?
Yes.
So,
That's
but yeah, it was interesting as well to find how much like their bassist helped establish their distinct sound. I mean, there's no releases of before their bassist joined, so it's hard to tell exactly, but it's from what they said, it was like a really big, because he was someone who was like really talented bassist that was
he's one of
looking
the
to
ones who passed
do.
away. Dave Allen.
Okay, yeah,
He pushed them into the funk.
yeah, because I believe in the book it said that he was looking for something like Stevie Wonder but harder. Like that's the
Yeah.
kind of music he was like trying to.
Goal to have.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess so I remember I got into this. I remember buying this like the CD right like when I was like I think like pretty depressed, so and like also dealing with sort of my emotions or like interpersonal stuff, so it's also very much like definitely the right time to get into it. Thinking of love like as a case of anthrax and like lot
And
yeah and, but
nothing
yeah
like
and then
this cultural critique
yeah
takes you out of
yeah
heartbreak.
of the like power dynamics between like individuals. And I think we need to move on unfortunately. So number 62 is quite different from King of Four. I mean, way more successful like
Anyone else? Well,
commercially. Yeah, it's Def Leppard with their album Pyromania.
yes.
Wow, it sold more than 9 million copies circa that time. I'm not that big into that era of metal. Although I can't deny the catchiness of some of like the music, the quality of the playing is like well played. Like
Production.
yeah, Mutt Lang, like it was like breakthrough work.
Yes.
Uh, And I mean, there are some tracks that are more so like new wave of like British heavy metal than like hair metal. You know, like the more on like the Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. I mean, yeah, because they formed in the 70s,
Yeah.
late 70s. I mean, yeah, they influenced a lot of like worse bands. I mean, I'm listening to it, I was like, okay, yeah, this is not quite my favorite, but like it is like I can't deny that the craft of the album. And I mean, this one has Photograph and Rock of Ages, which are both like big
Classics. Yeah, it may surprise you to know that I was really into the subsequent album, Hysteria.
mm,
Owned it, loved it.
that is surprising.
Yeah. I was surprised. I remember being surprised as I listened to it on repeat and being like, God, why do I like this so much? That was after the car accident, right? That left the drummer without a
Yeah,
hand. And they had to kind of reform from, that was a tragedy. But
yeah, yeah. It's nuts and like insanely impressive.
yes.
Rick
Yeah.
Allen, by the way, is the name of the drummer.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh, and I can't remember if anyone's life was lost in that accident. I think that I can't remember, unfortunately. But they reformed, and I think Hysteria was like their biggest album. And I like that in this article in the Rolling Stone, they note that this album, Pyromania, kind of launched a bunch of imitators, which they refer to as cheap imitators,
mm-hmm.
naming Poison, Winger, and White Lion. And I think that I felt vindicated. I mean, I hate hair metal. I don't even like Motley Crue, which I think many people in my generation do. But I love Def Leppard. So, and so I don't like any of these other people. But I love.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I think most of my hearing of anything of like hair metal was on VH1 or like them talking about that era, talking about individual songs. So I think there's somewhere in my brain that like somewhere in there because of enjoyment because of watching Power Rangers, like because like there was like songs that were, even though this was like in 1983, there were some songs that were kind of hair metal adjacent. So like I think somewhere in there, like the guitar sound to me is with at least with this band, it hits some sort of like enjoyment like thing in my brain.
We
Yeah.
should move on to the real creme de la creme of the
Um,
list, really.
Number 61 and our final album for today is Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band with Doc at the Radar Station.
Yes, everyone. This is correct. What do you know about Captain Beefheart?
I mean, I most knew about him for that it was like difficult music, that it was very out there
Yeah.
and very unique and I finally, I mean, while preparing this, like listened to some of his music. It is very out there. It is very unique. It is difficult, but it is also musically very. It's like musically sometimes difficult, but like it's also really good.
Yes.
Captain Beefheart's like singing is
Is it singing?
it's
Yeah. Is
it's
it?
like bluesy, but like it's and but then so for the preparing, I listened to Trout Mask Replica.
Yeah, that's right. That's a
Yeah, which is like I think his most well known.
right.
Weirdly, it was not on YouTube Music, although it was someone made a playlist of the individual songs. Um,
Yes.
but I don't know why that is. But yeah, this one it is like almost post punk.
It is very post-punk, right? That's totally, it gets placed in that category. It's inspirational. The influence is just massive of Had to Be Part in general. There's nothing
Yeah, it seemed like in every song on this album on Radar Station that I was like, oh, this is almost like kind of, oh, this is like pretty catchy. Oh, this is,
yeah.
but like every song there's also a moment where like, okay, this is still Captain Beefheart.
Yeah.
it is still like, okay, it is still slightly off. It is still weird. I'm really glad to get into it. I think you could dance to this maybe.
I know. It does almost feel like you could. It's rhythmically driven. It's very rehearsed. He was a perfectionist. There's some documentary that I watched like a million years ago about the making of Trout Mask Replica, I guess, and the guitarist in particular who played on that album was incredible and had to work really hard because there's a lot of changing that happened. This album is on the list because it was the one in 80, you know. We should just note that he was, I wouldn't say discovered by Zappa, but he's a visual artist. He was making visual art from the age of 3. He is a visual artist. The album cover, I'm sure, is his creation. I didn't check on that, but he still paints and is highly regarded as one of the great visual artists of our times. It's just another thing he does. And also having this music career, he's a very unusual person by all accounts. My favorite story of him is that U2, Bono wanted to work with him and sent him a letter and wanted to, put him on an album. And his reply was handwritten letter, "Dear Bono, no." And that was it. He's eccentric, as you could probably imagine, but his influence on music, that pared down, very dry sounding guitar, this real appreciation for blues, and Howlin' Wolf, and you can see the connections there in his delivery, lyrically, singing wise, and yeah, I'm so glad that you're getting into
They were
this.
cool enough to have this on here.
Yes, yeah, his art career. He's a modernist, primitivist, abstract expressionist, and he's considered an outsider artist because he's such an unusual person.
Yeah, because the lyrics are always they're quite weird.
They're very.
But yeah, on the lyrics too. So there's the song "Dirty Blue Jean," with the Jean being like the name Jean. It has like a lyric from it that I was like, did this influence PJ Harvey? Because that has the lyric, "Don't you wish you've never met her?"
Totally. Oh, I'm sure. I'd never made that connection, but absolutely. Great connection to make. I'm sure this is one of her biggest influences. I gotta look her up and see.
Yeah, see if she's.
Yeah, there's like a whole list on Reddit, most Captain Beefheart-esque PJ Harvey songs. Inspired PJ Harvey. That's amazing. Yeah.
That is really cool.
PJ Harvey reads Captain Beefheart's poem about her cat. There's a real connection there, apparently.
Okay, that's really cool.
That just came out last year in Rolling Stone.
Yeah. But yeah, I do love this album cover. It is.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? And PJ Harvey's on tour, or she was last year.
Yeah, I really want to see her. I was considering because back in like 2017, I think they played at this one festival. And I was like considering to go. I wasn't like able to. I also would have been driving to Kentucky, which is like pretty far. I was in Lexington.
Yeah, it is. I'd made that
drive. I hadn't driven
Florida in one night, one time. It was terrible.
All the way. Wow, it's.
Is it over 12 hours? I don't remember exactly, but.
Geez, yeah. I mean, the farthest I drove from Asheville, because I drove up to Ohio and up into like West Virginia, like one time. To I think what's the name of that city in West Virginia?
Charleston.
I mean, the craziest I think was I drove from Florida to Asheville in like one day, and then drove the next day all the way to like Cincinnati.
Wow!
Yeah. I mean, now I don't even drive all the way straight to Florida, so it's kind of
right.
I guess that was the last hurrah of trying to do that. I'm sure. I mean, I think this would be good music to keep yourself awake if you're driving late at night. I'm sure.
Yeah, because it's so angular, it'll wake you up. It's like very unexpected twists and turns.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for today. Oh yeah, so I guess you wanted favorites for the week.
Oh yeah. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
I would have to say Captain Beefheart is so incredible, but for me, it's going to be Gang of Four, you know?
Yeah, it'd be Gang of Four for me as well. As you can tell from how long I was able to
Yes.
talk about it. I mean, after all, Guerrilla War Struggle is our new entertainment, but I think I mentioned that line because as all right. So
Wait, least favorite.
least favorite.
I don't
This
really
was like,
hear
I mean,
about
this was
Randy
like,
Newman that much. Sorry.
I mean, this was a quality week.
It was a good one.
It might have been Randy Newman, just because I think there was a week maybe where that would have been the best one. So I think we're getting like higher quality so listed on, which is what you want to have happen. So, all right. We'll see you next time.
I'll see you next time.
You can reach us at Yearendlesspodcast at gmail.com. All music is courtesy of Shane Parrish. Until next time, for my co-host Courtney, I'm William, signing off from the Tar Heel State.